All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Hope everybody's doing well. Welcome to another episode of Grizzly's Cave. This is Grizzly Andrew, and I have a very special guest today. Before I get to my guest, I do want to plug the GoFundMe account that I have mentioned in the previous episodes. The account is Help Ben Build a Future for Indie Wrestling Stars. The link is gofund.me backslash, no, well, I'm sorry, forward slash 9B as in boy, 2 F as in Frank, C as in Charles, 903. And we definitely need to keep independent wrestling alive for as long as we can. And I know my guest would definitely agree with that. Also, I want to plug the next NAWE wrestling event. It will be March the 8th the event will start at 7 p.m. Doors will open between 6 and 6:30, give or take. Concessions are available. They're fairly priced concessions. It's not like going to an MLB or NBA or an NFL event where it costs $15 just to get a hamburger. So, and it's good quality concessions as well. This is a family-friendly promotion, and I promise you will not leave disappointed. And without further ado, I want to introduce my guest today. He is one of the founders of the NAW promotion. His name is Justin Style. I met him about a year ago through work, and I found out about his promotion, and he knew that I was a big fan of professional wrestling. And whenever I'm at work and I was reading off the pickers numbers, I went by his gimmick name, called him Justin Style. And this man is was not only my coworker, but he's become my brother and my best friend. And we would sit for breaks, every break, sit in my Jeep and talk about nothing but wrestling and nothing as well as his promotion and stuff. And he also helped give me my break in this business. He's the one that brought me in to be a commentator for the NAW promotion, and I'm forever indebted to him. So, without further ado, I want to introduce Justin Style. Justin, thank you for coming to the Grizzlies Cave
Hey
today.
man, I appreciate you having me here. It's an honor to be here, and
It's definitely an honor having you here, buddy. And so, how you doing, man?
I'm good, man. Living the dream, you know, getting to wrestle, getting to run a show, and working all the time. So
I heard that, man. Yeah, for me, working all the time, going to these training sessions, and realizing this is definitely a young man's sport. I definitely broke into this business a lot later in life than most people do.
I've had a few guys say that kind of broke into it, later on in their, I guess, an age or whatever you want to call it. But the way I always see it, man, is it's your heart, man. It doesn't matter if you're 19, doesn't matter if you're 40. It's your heart. Is it something you actually want to do? Because those are the people that we're trying to push is the people that actually want to do it, that want to make this a reality. I can't guarantee that you're going to get on WWE or TNA or AEW, but, we have a bunch of guys that, you got to put the time in. You got to travel the road. I mean, you almost got to make this a full time job if that's something you actually want to do. With me, I'm 39 now. No, that's not going to happen for me anymore. And I'm okay with that because I mean, I've got to wrestle Doug Gilbert, I've got to wrestle Tommy Rich, and I've met Dexter Loomis, Al Snow, Jerry Lawler, Brian Christopher. I mean,
Oh man.
I'm blessed, man. I remember me and my brother was actually gonna drive like 4 hours one day to do a benefit show just because Rock and Roll Express was doing a seminar.
Hmm.
And it was like, where else can you get a better seminar than Ricky Morton and Robert Gibson? I mean,
Hmm.
there's no other tag team that I feel like even touches them.
No.
I mean, except maybe Legion of Doom, but that's a totally different, you
Well,
know.
and I've told you this, through our many times we hung out during breaks and stuff that I got to meet the Rock and Roll Express back in '98, and I'm planning on doing another episode on a live event wrestling experience, which that one was a local independent promotion and all that. But I really wish I had still had that Polaroid picture. I don't know what happened to it, but I had a picture taken with the Rock and Roll Express and stuff, so it's really awesome. And you mentioned the Legion of Doom. I mean, very, very impressive tag team. God rest both their souls,
Yeah.
man. I like them, but Demolition, Axe and Smash were my all-time
Oh yeah,
favorite.
that
But
Yep.
But I mean, I would, but Legion of Doom would definitely be in the top 10, my top 10 of best tag teams of all time. Um, so we really don't have a set platform for these shoot interviews. I know Sean Oliver from Kayfabe Commentaries and Rob Feinstein. Hopefully, I didn't butcher that last name. They all have their little way they do things. So, man, just whatever you want to talk about,
Hey
feel
man,
free
I'm
to
just
talk
happy to talk
about.
about wrestling, man.
Same here, buddy. I
Yeah.
mean, whenever I started this, I was like, man, I don't think anybody's going to listen to it. But I've had coworkers, I've had ex coworkers, and all that say they've been listening to it and they really enjoy it. So I'm just really glad to be able to get you over here to talk
Oh
about
yeah, I mean,
wrestling.
yeah, man. I mean, I'm glad to be here. I always enjoy talking to you. I mean, we always
Right.
talk on the phone, and it's always about
Yes,
wrestling.
sir.
So,
Yes, sir.
I mean, between my wife and wrestling, those are probably my two favorite things. I won't say which one I probably favor more because I might get in trouble, but I'm sure the people might can see where that's going. So, Betty, if you're watching this or if you're listening, please don't kill me when I get home. I love you.
Oh, mate. Yes, he does love you, Miss Betty. He bragged about you all the time when he worked with us at Clark and all that. And so I know he thinks very highly of you, and you're definitely a good woman. Just definitely keep him in line as much as you can. But so you mentioned the legends that you got to meet and work with and stuff. So I'm actually curious because I never did ask you. When did you start? When did you start training to be in the business?
I got my Kentucky license in 2003 when I was 18, but me and my brother actually started. I think I was 16 and I think he was 15 at the time. And I think we trained for about 2 years and then we
Mm,
like went to Illinois and I think we actually had our first match against each other. And that's actually where I met JC.
okay.
JC had been training too as well, and we all pretty much started at the same time, but we were always at the training place at different times because we always went. I got to give Kenny Cotton a plug. It went for him and my dad and people like Viper and Grunge and Gator McAllister, all these guys. And I mean Tebow, all the guys like Rowdy Red too. I mean there were so many guys that when we were starting, we were the green guys, and you had like Rowdy Red who was a veteran. You had Shorty. God bless his soul. He's not with us anymore, but
Hmm.
one of the best little guys around the business. I mean, I remember that man jumping off the balcony at the National Guard Armory
Oh,
through a
holy
table.
shit, man.
Yeah, I
Damn.
remember Kenny Cotton was so damn mad at him for that because they had to pay for the table.
Oh, jeez.
But I remember some of the veterans actually getting mad at us there after we started for a little bit because we were the young guys coming in, and for us, we wasn't ever worried about the money. It was about just having a platform to do what we loved.
Hmm.
Because I remember when me and my brother was kids, I remember we used to cut out like the Coke cases and stuff to make our own belts.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I mean, and we had like the brawling buddies or whatever they call them now. Like the Hulk Hogan's and all
Oh,
of that.
wrestling buddies.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, and that's what we did as kids. We everybody else is watching cartoons on Saturday morning. We was watching USWA with Dad.
Sure. Which you mentioned the wrestling buddies. Which ones did you have by chance?
I think I had Randy Savage, and I want to say I think my brother had the Ultimate Warrior or maybe Hulk Hogan. But I don't remember a whole lot about him, but I do remember having them. I remember beating the shit out of them things when I was a kid.
So, I had a Hulk Hogan, and you mentioned Savage. Now, if I'm not mistaken, he had two different ones back when he was just Macho Man, and then I had the Macho King. So I had those two, and I told JC about this because he's a big Sting fan. I had a Sting one,
Yeah,
because WCW were doing them as well. And again, I don't know what happened to them, but they just disappeared. But yeah, I would do the same thing at my mama's. God rest her soul. I'd go visit her in Beaver Creek, Ohio. I'd rent all the Coliseum home videos that WWF at the time had out, and because up in Ohio, Myers was kind of like Super Walmart is down here and stuff, but they had a video rental place, and I mean, they had like a plethora of those videos.
yeah,
So while that's playing in the background, I'm jumping off her furniture, thinking it's the top turnbuckle and all
yeah.
that, and crashing on them and stuff. So, um, I'm gonna. Do you mind if I plug your brother right
Nah,
quick?
man, go ahead. I mean,
S-
even though he's a piece of crap right now, but
Uh, well, Well, anyway, I got to be careful because I'm still a greenhorn and a rookie, with the NAWE promotion. But Justin Styles' brother is Sexy Sid, and he is the current reigning NAWE heavyweight champion. I did not know that he had an Ultimate Warrior wrestling buddy. So,
I'm pretty sure it was Ultimate Warrior. I could be wrong because I know he was a huge like Shawn Michaels fan
hmm
growing up, which that's a red flag right
well,
there.
j- back then, yes, Nate, but you can't take away the fact that man was an incredible performer and definitely charismatic. Behind the scenes, though, obviously, his troubled past, but thank God he straightened his life up.
Oh yeah, I
So
mean I just had to give Sid some crap on that. No, I mean Shawn Michaels is a great wrestler. I mean you've seen everything he's done for this business, and I mean
hmm
we all have our trouble.
sure,
I mean it happens, especially in this business because people don't realize like running your own show or even just wrestling sometimes, man. I don't know how many shows that I would go to 3 or 4 hours away and you be guaranteed this pay, and then you get there and you don't get that pay.
right. Um, so let's see. So you said around 16. So this would have been, I guess, in the late 90s when you started training. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, something like that. Well, probably like early 2000s, I would say.
hmm
Something like that. Because I remember we used to go to Kenny Cotton's in Nortonville. And and if you was in Kentucky, that's where a lot of these guys started.
Okay.
Some of them may not admit it to these days, but I mean, for whatever reason, I don't know. But I mean, a lot of times we would get there probably 10, 11 o'clock in the afternoon, and we would train, set up a ring. There'd be 4 or 5 of us most times. Set the ring up, work out till it got dark, tear down. And I mean, it was 8, 10 hour training sessions, every weekend. We just wanted as much time as we could to get in there.
Oh, absolutely, man. Because I mean, that's the only way that you can better yourself, right? Is you got to come to
Oh
training
yeah, I mean, ring
sessions.
experience. I mean, you can do all the other stuff, but I mean, ring experience is what's going to get you there because I mean, wrestling in front of a crowd is different than just training.
Sure, sure. Let's see. So when did you have your first match, and what do you remember what promotion it was with, and who you were? Oh, well, I think you said your brother. Which promotion was that at?
It was a place in Illinois. I can't remember the actual promotion, but I remember me and Sid had worked each other that night, and then we had worked Hartford. I think a show after that after we got our license, and I remember like when we first started, man, the wrestling business was totally different than how it is today. Back in the day, it was all about respect, and if you didn't respect the business or you wasn't tough enough, they run your ass out.
Mm,
There wasn't no you can't do some of the stuff that you do now that you would have did back in the day, or you would have got your ass whooped in
sure,
that ring. But
sure.
I remember we went to Hartford and we were wrestling that night. I think I want to say it was one of our first or second shows in Kentucky. But the original assassin off USWA,
hmm
I remember he had the Rough Riders there, which was kin to him. I think one of them was his son or his brother or something. I can't remember exactly. They probably killed me because I've known them for years, but they're all family. But me and Sid, we're sitting here, we're fucking green guys, and Sid's 120 pounds soaking wet at that time, and like everybody's scared to death to wrestle Rough Riders.
Mm,
So me and Sid's like, you know what, fuck it, we'll wrestle.
sure,
And like they told us, it's like, boys, you just listen to us, we'll take care of you.
sure.
Went out there, man, had a great match, earned their respect. I think we was in Illinois the next weekend or something. My brother ended up wrestling this guy named Drago, and
I've heard of him, but I'll jump to that here in a second. But go
but
ahead, man.
so I guess like this guy was trying to do like the Undertaker gimmick, kind of wore the face paint, was trying to do like the sit up and all that, which do your own thing, man. Whatever. But I remember, like I said, I think this was like Sid's second match, and this boy like wanted to give him a tombstone off the top rope or something, and we was like, no, man, it's his second match, he's not doing that, and he more or less tried to hurt my brother.
Mm,
And unfortunately, sometimes you ran into that. These guys, want back big and bad to the green guys because we didn't know any better.
right.
And so I was pretty pissed. Like I don't have any problem. Shit happens in the ring. I mean, I've been busted open. I've tore my rotator cuff. I mean, shit, accidents happen. No big deal.
Mhm.
Because accident from somebody trying to hurt you,
Mhm.
and that guy was trying to hurt Sid. Well, like I said, we'd earned the respect of Ray and the Rough Riders and all them because we were young guys, but we took the business serious. We
Right.
paid respect. They told us to do something, we did it. We didn't
Mhm.
bitch. We didn't ask for no belts or any of that shit.
Right.
And I remember they beat the shit out of Drago that night for that shit. And that's what they told him. You don't do that shit to green kids.
Sure.
Now, if it's a green kid that ain't listening, then yeah, you're a little stiff with him. But
Right.
they've got to learn
Right.
because it's better to learn now than to learn when you get in there with somebody that really will fuck you up.
Sure. So, about let's see. This was back when I was living in Hopkinsville. I was in college, and there was a gym I worked at. It was the Ye Old Iron Sweatshop, and it was on Skyline Drive, just right across the street from Kroger. And it was an old school type workout facility. The guy, I don't know if he listens to my podcast, but I'll give him a plug. His name's Jeff Taylor. We called him JT, and he did bodybuilding and all that back in the day. And all around the gym, you see old school pictures from like Muscle and Fitness magazines, Flex magazines of all these bodybuilders, because men and women, because to give you that motivation and stuff and all that. And it was a hardcore gym. I mean, you could yell, scream, grunt, whatever.
Right, right.
And there was a fella there, and I cannot remember his name off the top of my head, but this dude was fucking huge. He was, um, honestly, I'd say about the big Cowboys height and stuff, and he was probably well over 300 something
Ooh.
pounds. And he wrestled for an outfit that that was actually where I got my first day of training, was with old school wrestling over in the Callaway County area. That was Jamie Phillips, or Bad Boy Phillips as
Yeah,
he was
I met
called.
Bad Boy Phillips.
So this fella that I met, I think he wrestled under the name Debo Creed Johnson or something like that. I actually didn't get to see him wrestle, but he had mentioned about Drago. And as soon as you said Undertaker gimmick, Undertaker style gimmick, I was like, okay, yeah, that's the same guy. And he had said the same thing, that he would try to hurt
Yeah.
people, mainly rookies and whatnot. And you know, I, I've listened to a lot of shoot interviews and stuff, and I've listened to him, watched him, and all that. You just can't do shit like that. Now I'm like you. Even though I'm new to this business, I'm very old school, and I've told you that, I've told Josh that, and I've told others that, and I agree with you. You got to respect this business, and you got to respect your veterans and stuff too, because they're a lot more knowledgeable. And God forbid you get in there with somebody that's a straight up shooter or a hooker, like I'll just throw some names out, like the late Billy Robinson, the late Iron Sheik, and all that. God forbid you got in there with Andre the Giant. I mean,
Right.
but anyways, does Drago even still wrestle these days?
As far as I know, I don't guess he does. I mean, I'm not trying to talk bad about the man. I'm
Sure.
just trying to tell my experience. You
Yeah.
know, because I remember like he had said something to me that night about running into my match, and I told him, I said, if you run into my match and I don't know you're coming, I'm gonna knock the fuck out of you.
Because, you know, and I know you've seen the videos, and I'm sure any of our listeners that are fans of the business, you see the videos of fans running into the ring and attacking the wrestler. So your first instinct would be, this is a fan trying to get at
Yeah,
you,
I mean,
right?
if I don't know you're coming to that ring,
Hmm.
I have no idea, especially if my back is turned. And
Right.
like I said, that was one of the things that was just a red flag, that he wasn't telling these other veterans that I'm going to run in your match.
Hmm.
This was to the green guys, because I'd actually told the guy that ran that Illinois, or yeah, I think it was the Illinois show that happened in. I told him, I said, I want him. I
Hmm.
want a match with him,
Okay.
because at that time my brother's a whole lot more laid back than I am. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm a laid back guy,
Right.
but I'm a little bit more, I guess, hotter tempered than he would be.
Sure.
And I mean, don't get me wrong, I know he can take care of himself, but in
Hmm.
that situation, we're both green guys, and we're all here to be taken care of.
Right.
That's how it's supposed to be.
And you definitely don't want to have bad experiences, because then it's going to wind up being like, well, you know what? Fuck this. I'm getting out of this. If this is how it's going to be, then now I'll go do something else,
Yeah,
or,
and I
or, go-
mean,
or
and
go work
I've
for
and I've
somebody
seen
else.
guys quit over the shit that
Really?
had really had talent and stuff, and they just got, you
Right.
know, I mean, nobody wants to go get the shit beat out of them, especially if this is something that you've always wanted to do.
Yeah.
And for me, that is the hardest thing. Is like when you have people that you know that want it, but they maybe can't do this or they can't do that. That is the worst thing. Is trying to tell somebody, hey, I don't think maybe you're cut out to be a wrestler, but maybe you can be a manager, you can be a referee. To me, that's the hardest thing to do because I mean that's the last thing you want to do is step on somebody's dreams.
Right. And, the only reason so when I went to old school wrestling for that day of training, um, I was hurt. I was hurting for a few days. I think 3 days actually, and back then I was like 175 pounds and now I'm like 230 something. But my workout regimen I did back then wasn't what I do now. So thankfully, since I do a lot more compound stuff, my body heals up faster. I worked with a guy named Chops. I don't know if you've ever met him. I know he's wrestled in Kentucky. I believe he's wrestled a lot up in Indiana, and I think he might still be active. He taught me how to do do tie ups and all that.
Right.
Worked with him for a while on that. And then a fella named Chick Canyon, and there was another guy.
This chick, I think he's still going at it, ain't he?
I don't know, man. I tried looking
I
him
know
up
that
on.
name sounds familiar, but I can't. I don't know if it's the same chick that I'm thinking it is.
Well, when I met him, he wore a blue singlet. He had kind of long, dark hair, and I think eventually he wound up dyeing it blonde or whatever. Because I think he eventually turned babyface, and he was partners with a guy named Eric Ego. And but yeah, I'm not really sure if Chick's still doing it. And Chick Canyon Chops, if y'all are hearing this, I know I never came back for the training, but 15 years later, I did decide to come back into the business, and now I'm picking up on the training and everything. And I told you and I told Josh that I was going to see if my body could handle it. And I've also told you and I've told Josh this as well that if it turns out to be the drizzling shits,
Right.
yeah, it would suck. It would suck to hear that, but you know what? It is what it is. I mean, like you said, some people ain't cut out, to be in the ring, but there's other roles, whether you can manage, referee, commentate,
Right.
there's something else available. So I mean, don't ever just because a door closed with one thing doesn't mean it's going to close that the big door is going to close,
Yeah. I mean, exactly.
So
Well, I mean, and the big thing about it is too, like sometimes to me, I think it's just people, like get in their own heads.
mhm.
Like okay, maybe you're having trouble picking up on the chain wrestling, but then we do something else, and that may be where you excel at.
Yeah, I ain't gonna lie to you, man. I suck with the chain wrestling. Hell, I can't even do a proper face bump. I can do back bumps. I can do this, that, and the other. I can take moves and do moves, but chain wrestling, I suck at, and front face bumps and climbing them turnbuckles. You and everybody else that's been in this business for a long time, y'all make it look so simple, but my life flashed before my eyes a few times at the last training session,
Right.
but it was awesome to be able to do that. Folks, if you're hearing my dog barking, I do apologize. I did put her in her kennel, but she's being very vocal right now. So, anyways, have you always wrestled as Justin Style, or did you have other names?
I actually, my very first match, I started out. We'd actually done a benefit show. We were doing a benefit show for one of my buddy's moms who had leukemia.
Right.
So that was something very near and dear to my heart because me and this guy grew up, through middle school and high school, and still remain friends these days. We don't see each other much just because, family and work and stuff, But it used to be like every other weekend I was either at his house or he was at my house. So his
Hmm.
mom was like my second mom.
I got you.
And at this time, she'd already been in the process of losing her hair and stuff like that. But I think we did it in the St. Charles old school,
Okay.
and I think that was actually like one of my first matches in Kentucky, and I went by Dazzling Dirk.
Dazzling Dirk. Okay.
Yeah, and but I remember we raised like $500 or $600 for her that night,
That's awesome,
and I
man.
remember she gave me a hug and was just crying and was just thanking you so much. And I guess that was probably the moment to me that was like, because I'm not good at mechanic work. I'm not a carpenter. I feel like wrestling is the one thing that I'm good at, and I feel like nobody can take away.
Well, for what it's worth, um, obviously I won't go into all that because people that you already know, but you're a hell of a worker. and yes, I know I was your team leader, but you were my coworker. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I know you always called me your boss, but I wasn't your boss. I was, I was your coworker. And you're a damn good worker. So
I mean, you was always a good boss, man. I mean, I always felt like you treated everybody fairly. I mean, just because you like me, I still got my damn errors. I might give you hell about it, but damn, I get my damn errors.
yeah, yeah. Unfortunately, that's one of the parts of the job I hate having to do because you know, accuracy was such a big issue, especially 2 years ago and stuff. I mean, and I told you the story. We'd get like 25, 40 errors sometimes in one day, and it
Yeah.
was just outrageous. But yeah, I've been called to the desk, to JC's desk, for something I didn't even do, and me and him still laugh about it to this day
Well, I
and
took
whatnot.
care of that error for you.
And
I marked that one off, so now we have to take that one away.
much appreciated.
Yeah.
There have been other errors that came from the commentating desk that I didn't even do either, but
Right.
they still Casanova and Chris Crash, yeah, they were like, yeah, and you said that. I was like, no, that was not me. That was Tink.
Well, do you
Sorry.
want me to call Chad McCoy and straighten this out for you?
Sure. What the heck, man? Chad, if you're listening, buddy, if you ever want to come on the podcast, it'd be awesome to have you on,
Yeah,
man.
it only
So.
cost you $25, Chad.
That will not be payable to me. That'd be payable to Mr. Justin Style
Yeah, and
here.
I
So.
don't take checks, Chad. I want cash. I can't be having a check bounce.
Oh my God, that is so funny. You know what? We forgot to say this at the start, but fuck Kyle.
Yeah, fuck Kyle.
Yeah, Kyle, if you're listening to this, fuck you, man.
Yeah, fuck you, Kyle.
All right, so you've worked in Illinois. Obviously, you work here in Kentucky. You did some work in Indiana too. Is that correct?
Yeah, I worked for it goes by Johnny Richards. When I first started, he was Master Rich,
Okay.
and I loved his gimmick. He come out with a guy that was his butler,
Okay, awesome.
and we actually had a group there for a little bit. We was called like Upper Class, and we spelled it with a K, and we pretty much played like the preppy. We were better than you, better than
Mm,
everybody, and me and Johnny got to be pretty good friends. And to me, Johnny's probably one of the best guys to work for in Evansville.
okay.
I mean, I know he's taking some time off, because I mean, being a promoter in the wrestling is hectic. It's like having a full time job. You're getting phone calls all day.
Mhm.
You're trying to book shows. You're trying to book people, and especially on the days of the show, you're getting your phone just rings all day.
Sure.
You don't know if it's somebody not being able to make it or hey man, I'm running late. But a lot of people want to like talk shit about promoters, but I feel like until you promoted a show and you've put the money out there. Now I'm not saying that there ain't some promoters that ain't gonna try to fuck your eyeballs out because there's
Sure.
plenty out there.
Yeah.
But if if you come to me and I reach out to you or you reach out to me and you tell me a price and we agree to that price, that's what you're getting paid that night.
Right.
If we only have 25 people in the crowd, that's not your problem. That's mine. I
Sure.
should have advertised better or I mean, shit happens.
Right.
But you're gonna get what we agreed on. Now, if we have 300 people, don't come to me wanting more money because that's the price we agreed on.
Okay.
Now, I mean, a lot of times we do try, like, if we have a great show, yeah, we're gonna try to throw you a little bit extra.
Mhm.
Can't guarantee it every time, but we've got stuff that we've invested in. Like new speakers.
Sure.
We invested in that cage.
Yeah.
And I mean, that cage was fun. That bump off the top of it sucked, but it
Yeah.
was fun.
Oh my gosh, yeah. When you did that with Captain North, um, I had to throw in the good God Almighty that killed him. I mean,
The
y'all
fucking Joey Styles come out of you, didn't
Joey Styles,
it?
JR, and I've always said that Jesse Ventura was my favorite commentator and stuff, but God Almighty, that was wow.
I know I had a few people messaging me the next day, like, "Are you drawing disability now after that?" I'm like, actually, I don't feel too bad. I mean, I guess it looked worse than what it actually was.
I mean, honestly, brother, it did not look bad. I mean, it looked really good. Now, I've seen and I know you have, and I know our listeners have had. We've seen some spots like that that looked like absolute car wrecks.
Yeah.
But man, you and him both. I mean, that just looked incredible, and you both kept going after that. And that's what was really awesome about that match. Um, Obviously, the ending of the match went a little
Oh
differently
yeah,
than
it
which.
didn't go exactly how I planned, but hey, and
Yeah, sorry that I gave your brother a standing ovation and stuff. But
we'll take care of that after podcast. I don't need them to see what I'm gonna do to you on
yeah,
the podcast.
yeah.
That way, I don't have any witnesses or any of that.
No audio evidence and
Yeah,
stuff. We
yeah,
don't need
yeah,
this in
yeah.
deposition. So
Right. But I mean, like speaking on the Jolly Rogers, man, probably one of my favorite tag teams to honestly work.
yeah, yeah.
We've known them for a while now. I mean, as far as their in ring ability, may not agree with some of the tactics they have inside the ring right now, but I mean, as far as their in ring ability, man, probably one of my favorite tag teams.
Yeah, man. They, and I've only been a part of y'all's promotion, since August, but I came to a couple of shows, sitting with the fans before then, and yeah, man, they very charismatic, really great workers and stuff, and they since I've been involved with the promotion, man, they've really treated me with respect. I mean, actually, everybody's treated me with respect, and been really good to me, and for those that don't know, so I haven't really told this story, but when the month before I started commentating, I told I'm gonna go and call you Derek.
All right.
Derek, I told him that I wanted to meet the boys, and well, and there's also a female manager. She's a trainee right now, but I wanted to meet them and get to know them. Obviously know what their character is, what their finishing move is, and then I asked them what not to say. I mean, because obviously I'm a heel commentator, and obviously I'm going to side with them, but I asked the heels and the baby faces what not to say, and you know, um, Josh even told me Josh told me he was iffy on me at first and stuff, and I understand that, but he said that really earned a lot of people's respect doing that, and it's like again that's the old school mentality coming out of me because hell, I mean, you don't want just some jabroni walking back there and and thinking he's a big shot because fuck, I'm definitely not a big shot, so but yeah, Jolly Rogers. They were like the first couple of guys that I met. I think James Kendrick was the first one, and I think I met the Jolly Rogers next. But yeah, everybody's been good to me. And folks, whenever I say that this promotion's really awesome, I really mean that because we're a tight knit group and we're a family. So um, but before, let me get back to something. You you mentioned about with the promotion. Do you ever have guys that just work off the gate, or do you go based on a guarantee, or how does
Most
it
of the
work?
guys is a guarantee.
Mhm.
The only guys that would probably work off the gate would be the guys that reached out to me that maybe I didn't know anything about,
Okay,
and I was giving them the opportunity. But I have so many people that reach out to me.
really?
Yeah, I actually reached out to a girl the other day,
Hmm.
trying to get a girl to come in, and I'm hoping to have Aria ready by July
Hmm.
to wrestle this girl, and I won't say her name yet.
Sure.
I want it to be a little bit of a surprise, but I mean, we are working on big things, and that's what I love about our promotion is, to me, I'm still a wrestling fan at heart.
Right.
I mean, when we're putting these matches together, I'm thinking about, man, this is what I'd want to see. Is this what the fans would want to see? And I mean, and I feel like that everybody we have on our roster. I mean, you have Roxo. I mean, you have James Kendrick. I mean, James Kendrick just worked Dodge Jack, and I don't know if you've seen the match on YouTube.
I have not, sadly,
Uh,
but I do need
I
to
think it
though.
was for Bullpen Wrestling. Um,
Now that was for the show back in November that he did, right?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yeah. And I mean, like he killed it, man.
Yeah.
It was a fucking great match. And I mean that, like, to me, any match that I've watched with James Kendrick or Roxo or any of the guys that's on our roster, they always kill it. I mean, Jolly
Hmm.
Rogers always kill it. JC always kills it. As painful as this for me to say it, Chad McCoy always kills it. If we can get his ass off that damn mic, but I mean, And I mean, then our photographer, Crystal. I mean, she's awesome.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
one of the friendliest women you ever meet. Me personally, I think it's one of the best photographers around here, especially for wrestling, because I mean, you see the live action shots.
Sure. And hell, the promo pics she does,
Yeah,
man,
I
they're just
mean,
incredible.
she does more for us than I could even tell you, man. I know we've actually. I don't know if I'm supposed to say this, or if I'm not supposed to say it, I'm sorry, Crystal. I still love y'all. Don't kill me. But we're actually working on like trying to do some trading cards.
Really?
Yeah, we're like wanting to do like a set. Like you
Sure.
remember how it was back in the day.
Oh
Oh, hey,
yeah.
let me get them trading cards. Hopefully, I get my favorite
Right.
wrestler.
Right. Absolutely.
But I mean, that's our biggest thing, man. Is we want to be affordable, but we also, want to make it where it's a great show.
Sure.
Because I mean, I've been to shows where people charge $10 or $15, and
Hmm.
you watch the show and you just feel like, fuck, man, I feel like I kind of got ripped off there.
Right.
I mean, that's
Right.
like if you go and watch a movie, and because I mean, getting into movies not the expensive part, but you
Hmm.
gotta have popcorn, you gotta have
Hmm.
something to drink. So times over, you done spend $50, and then if you go and watch a damn movie, like, fuck, I just wasted my fucking 2 hours of my fucking time. Popcorn in the fucking movie was better than the damn, it's better than the damn movie.
That's one of the reasons I stream nowadays,
I know,
brother.
right? I think that's
Um,
why a lot of us
yes,
do.
sir. Hell, the last time I went to a movie theater, it was that one in Paducah. It was back in the summer of 22, and I went and saw that movie that they made about Elvis that had Tom Hanks in it and
Yeah,
stuff. That's the
yeah,
last time I've been in there. Tickets weren't bad because it was like an early afternoon show or a
yeah.
matinee, whatever. But yeah, man, the popcorn, the drinks, you might as well just borrow some money from your 401k or
I
something
know,
to
right?
compensate you. Shit, man. Um, so now, um, I'm going to plug this too, just to compliment Miss Crystal's photography. Folks, if you have Facebook, the NAWE promotion is on there. And usually the photos from the matches from the most recent show are on there. Definitely give those a look. Again, I'm going to agree with Derek here. Miss Crystal's an incredible photographer. So, I mean, y'all definitely struck gold with her.
Yeah, and I think it's what Charm Photos is what her pretty sure that's what it is. Charm Photos.
It could be.
I'm
I,
pretty sure I'm about to look it up and make sure because if it
sure,
is, I was gonna tell everybody,
sure.
be sure to go.
Yeah. And James Kendrick, I mentioned, with him being the first person I met, when I went to the first show, he had a merch table right behind the seat where me and my oldest daughter Brianna were sitting at, and I was like, man, I'm really wanting to buy a shirt, so I got to looking, and I bought a James Kendrick shirt, and Derek's brother Sid. He likes to rib me quite a bit and say, "Man, I'm gonna rip that James Kendrick shirt off of you and everything." Um, but let me think here. So let's see. Any Now you've told me this story, but I don't believe anybody else really knows, especially those that worked at Clark. But you did have an opportunity to go to TNA at one point, correct, or try out for them?
Yeah, when I was me and my brother was about 19 or 20 at the time, and this is when Jerry Jarrett was still running it. Jeff Jarrett's daddy, if people don't know who it is,
Hmm.
and like I said, the original assassin, Ray. He was a big influence on our career. Helped us out a whole lot, and he'd actually got us to try out because this is when they were first starting out, and they were looking for tag teams.
Hmm.
Well, unfortunately, at the time, I was working as a tree trimmer, and I had a work accident, and it honestly about killed me. They told me I'd never walk again. They told me I'd never wrestle again. Never run again or any of that. And unfortunately, I it's one of the things. A lot of times you only get this opportunity once.
Right.
So unfortunately, when I got hurt, they really didn't want to look at Sid because they were wanting tag teams. So, but I mean, I think everything happens for a reason.
Sure.
Because I feel like that maybe if I would have did that, I may not have met my wife.
Yeah.
So I mean,
Well, and you know, and I've told you this. Obviously, I hate that it happened to you because you're right. I mean, you only get a shot at like that once in a lifetime. Now this was back during the Asylum days, I guess, when they were running their shows in
Yeah, this
Nashville.
is when they like first started, and like I said, we were supposed to have a tryout. So I mean, I don't even know if we was gonna make it. I mean, I feel like that we would have had a good chance at that
Sure.
time because we were hungry.
Right.
Don't get me wrong. I mean, I'm still hungry these days, but back in them days, it was going to different towns every weekend. And
Hmm.
I mean, probably the first 2 years that I wrestled, I didn't make a dime.
Damn.
But I mean, I didn't care.
Right.
It's just I'm getting a chance to get my platform out there. I'm getting a chance to be better. I'm getting a chance. These veterans are taking care of us. I remember we had a couple times veterans got mad at us because they would send us out there first match,
Hmm.
and the way we were trained, and the way Ray and Viper and all these guys always told us, your first match, you go out there and you try to kill the main event.
Hmm.
You make them guys work hard.
Hmm.
And I remember we went out there and we had first match, and I remember a couple of veterans like, y'all just killed the fucking main event. I'm like, sorry, man, that's just the way we were trained. But I mean, we were putting everything out there.
Right. So you kind of take that maybe a little bit as a compliment, but then also take it as maybe you have some heat, you know.
Yeah, a little bit of heat. But then after that, we weren't first match anymore. So,
Right. Right. Man.
but I mean, like I said, we were blessed, man. We had I had so many veterans that, helped all of us out.
Right.
And then I don't know if you know the NWA days, like before, you know, like when it was actually NWA.
Like before Turner took it over and stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Like you had the Syndicate, you had
Mhm.
Steve Marino,
I've heard the name. I don't.
Italian Stallion is what he went by,
Okay, and I have heard of that gimmick. Yeah.
and I can't think of his. I know his real name, but I can't think of his work name, so I don't want to say his real name.
Sure.
But him and Steve was partnered up with Matt Ryder, I think. But they were both like USWA, NWA, and I remember we was in Owensboro working. We were wrestling a team called the Syndicate,
Okay.
and that's what my dad was saying. He's like, "Man, they're from USWA, NWA. That's Italian Stallion, Steve Marino." I was like, "Okay,
Right.
awesome. We're getting to work some more legends. Just
Mm-hmm.
because I mean, man, and especially as a younger guy, man, the more knowledge I can get is what I
Mm-hmm.
want
Mm-hmm.
because I'm still learning this day. I don't know everything. I've been doing it for 20 some odd years, but I'm not gonna sit there and tell you I know everything. I'm
Sure.
not the most technical. I'm not the best, but I feel like when I go out there, I'm gonna put on a good show.
Right.
But I remember working them, and we just like amazed them that night because, like I said, this is how much the business has changed. We was in the locker room, and they're like, "Well, what do y'all want to do tonight?" We're like, "We are the veterans. You tell us what y'all want to do,
Mm-hmm.
and we'll listen." They're like, "Do what? What'd you just say?" And I was like, "Well, damn, we can't believe this shit." He said, "Most time we got these young guys, they ain't been in the business 4 or 5 years, wanting to tell us, do this or they gonna do that." And I was like, "Nah, man, we were trained old school."
Right.
And then we got talking about Ray and shit. Of course, they like, "Oh, well, you was trained right then."
Sure.
He's like, "Yeah, you definitely was trained old school because you know
Right.
what would have happened if you didn't listen." I was like, "You damn
Right.
right."
Mm-hmm.
Because we had guys in the back telling us, "Oh, you don't want to fucking work them. They don't want to listen. They don't want to do this and do that." But no, these guys are the guys that paved the way for guys like me and Sid and
Mm-hmm.
all of us guys to be here.
Right.
You have to pay respect to that.
Exactly.
I mean, these guys were actually doing it on mainstream TV.
Mm-hmm.
Probably making a whole lot more than I'll ever probably make. You know,
Mm-hmm.
ever make.
Right.
And but yeah, like every time we would go to Owensboro after that, if the Syndicate was on that card, like, hell, just let's work S&M. And Sid would always say, "Hey, I'm down, man. It's an easy night."
Right. Right.
Because I mean, it was old school. It wasn't
Mm-hmm.
there wasn't 1,000 bumps. It wasn't no. Oh, we're gonna do 3 Canadian destroyers tonight. No, we're gonna
Sure.
go in here. We're gonna tell a story.
Mm-hmm. Um, and that's what they told me at Old School Wrestling. The matches are supposed to tell a story, and I know if Jimmy Cornette, which that's like on my bucket list to be able to meet that guy. Um, I have said before, he wouldn't be a fan of me because of my political and religious affiliation, but in regards to uh, the business, I'm a big fan of him and what he's done for the business and where he stands. But same thing. You got to tell a story,
Yeah,
and Josh has told me that too. Got to tell a story. That's why all this time is invested in these storylines and these angles. But you've got to do stuff that makes sense. You know what I mean? And but so basically, working with these guys, like you said, it was a night off, but it wasn't a big spot show. In a nutshell, is what you're
Yeah, and I mean,
saying.
and that's what they tell us. Like, we're not going to take a whole lot of bumps, guys, and we don't expect y'all to take a whole lot.
Sure.
But I mean, we always went in there. We always had a good time.
Right.
Got to be pretty good buddies. Steve calls me every once in a while. We were actually supposed to go work for him at one time in like Louisville or Lexington.
Mm-hmm.
And they asked us where our price was, and we told them, hey man, we'll come in for this. We like you guys. We just want to get our gas money back.
Sure.
Hey, we'll take care of you guys. And I mean, like I said, we actually had them. They were supposed to come down for NAWE one day, but Steve's partner Matt actually like had some medical issues going on and
Sure.
ended up having to retire.
Right.
But I mean, if it wasn't for that, we would have them down here because I mean, Steve and them just good guys, man. And
Mm.
I got a funny story for you.
Okay.
I remember they was ribbing a guy in the back one day,
Oh boy.
and that shit was so funny. He like I said, you just had know Steve. Like once Steve got to know you,
Mm-hmm.
Steve was just funny as hell. I remember like we're supposed to be doing like a 6-man tag, and it's like me, Sid, and somebody else, and then it's Marino, Matt Austin's what he went by. Wasn't Ryder, Matt Austin, and then another guy named Joker Jones, which I like Joker. He's a decent worker, never had a problem with him. And Steve was back there doing like this. And Matt would come over and say, Steve, it's okay. We're not in Vietnam anymore. Oh, okay. And he'd be like, Steve, we're wrestling tonight. And Joker's over here, you can tell he's like not trying to show that he's kind of freaking out,
Mm-hmm.
but he kind of is, which I mean, if you don't know Steve, that would probably,
Right.
but Steve's just ripping the shit out of him. And I'm sitting over here just trying to hold my composure, knowing that. Because, Steve's looking at me and, he's just kind of smirking a little bit. And I used to carry this paddle around that my cousin had made me. It was wood and it had like FAHQ on it.
Okay.
Well, the first one got broke, so I had to get the fuck you too. So I remember they was like, oh, let's use the paddle tonight. I'm like, all right, bet, because that was usually one of the heel things that I would go to when I'd use the paddle. People fucking hated that paddle.
Right.
I'm going to whoop your ass with that paddle. Nah, you ain't. My old lady hated that paddle.
Really?
Yeah, because I'd bust her ass with it sometimes when she wasn't looking.
Oh man, and knowing how your wife is, I can only imagine the repercussions that happened after
Oh,
that.
yeah, you motherfucker. Wait till I get a hold of that paddle. Your ass has had it. So I'd have to put that son of a bitch up, make sure she ain't get me while I was sleeping or something. But I remember, and the paddle, the second one I had my cousin make it a little bit thicker because I was like, I don't want this one to get broke.
Right.
So I always tell guys, like, most of the time I do like a stomach shot or something because with this one, I didn't want to hit you in the head with it because it's about that damn thick.
Sure.
That shit gonna hurt.
Right. Provided it's not gimmicked or anything like
Right.
that.
And I mean, I didn't gimmick it. So.
Okay.
And it had like the hose and shit in it too. So it was like the real fraternity battles,
Cut down on that wind resistance,
yeah,
right?
Yeah. And but I remember Joker had hit one of the guys with it, and we'd like told him, hey, like get him in the shoulder blades or something if you're gonna hit him with it. No, he got him like right in the spine, and all you hear is that fucking pop from the paddle. I was like, ooh, shit, that hurts. I look over at Steve because we're actually in the middle of wrestling, and Steve's like,
right,
fuck.
right.
I mean, that was the thing about with Steve, man. He's such a cool guy, man, and just so laid back. As long as you showed him respect,
Sure,
easiest guys in the world.
yeah, and it all goes back to respect, and not just in the wrestling business, but just with anything.
Yeah, I mean, in
anything.
general, I mean,
Yeah.
respect will get you so much more in the long run than anything else.
I did want to ask you this. I know you told me before we started recording. We had a time limit. We got about 15 minutes left, but and again, we'll definitely have you on the show again, obviously,
yeah,
because
yeah.
hell, I mean, me and you could talk for
Next
hours.
time I'm gonna bring old Kevin with me.
Dude, I would love to have Kevin over here. Oh my God. The only problem is my little soundboard, it only fits 2 microphones, so you'd probably have to hand it off to each other or something like that. But yeah,
we had to watch his mic time. He'll tell me what that fucker would say.
holy shit. But yeah, man, Kevin's an awesome
So.
man.
Have you seen where he's probably probably viral on TikTok now. Have you seen his little TikTok video of his moonsault?
No, man, I sure haven't. But I saw the moonsault. But yeah,
Well, it's trending as like Fat Man Can Fly or something.
yeah,
And he's got the damn jackass theme in the background of him doing the moonsault.
buddy, I tried the moonsault, but I was like, no. The last time I tried on a trampoline, I was 13, and I didn't rotate my body. But that's
Yeah.
also because instead of having my head go backwards, I had it tucked in, and then of course I wound up landing here and stuff and all that, like where I landed on like my shoulder blades and whatnot. I felt some pops, but as far as I know, nothing was broken or anything.
Right, right.
That would really suck with these chiropractic adjustments. So when I did it, they were telling me it looked more like a whisper in the wind and stuff. I was like, well, heck, we'll just call that the slugger salt,
Hey, there you go, man.
But what was you hear this question a lot. What was probably the most difficult thing when you were breaking into when you were learning, in training? Was it psychology, or was it taking bumps, or learning the chain wrestling, or
I would say probably, I mean, just a little bit of it all, man. Because I mean, what you see on TV and what you see in the Indies is so much different.
mhm
Because like, say you've been in the Indies for 10 years and you go to WWE,
mhm
they're gonna change completely different style of what you're working. Because not only now are you like if you've ever worked TV, like there's certain spots that you like have to try to be in that ring so you can get the best shot for the TV,
sure
you know. And it makes a difference because I've done a couple of TV tapings. You know, it wasn't like no big WWE tapings or nothing, but it was for like local or this or that. But I mean, I would say probably the bumps
mhm
because especially after that first session when you're not used to it, like they say, it's like getting hit by a car at like 45 mile an hour is what
mm
it's the impact on your body,
sure
you
sure
know. And I mean, I remember it didn't take me long to remember to tuck my fucking chin though.
oh hell yeah, damn. And also not land in the center of the ring too.
Right. Well, like I remember I took a bump one day because when we were doing it, like you did it until the bump was right. It
Right.
didn't matter if you had to sit there and take a back bump 50 fucking times.
mhm
You were doing it till you'd pretty much mastered that motherfucker.
right.
And I remember one time, like, we'd done been there like 6 or 7 hours, and we're just, been working our asses off. We're doing back bumps again that night, just doing one after another, one after another. I forgot to tuck my chin. Boom!
Damn.
Hit my damn head. And I seen the little birdies flying around. I felt like one of them damn cartoons there for a minute.
Oh
And I remember
man.
Red was there, and Red's like, "Hit that fucking head, didn't you?" I said, "Yep." He said, "You remember tuck that chin, won't you?" I
mhm
said, "You damn right." And I don't think I've never not tucked my chin again.
yeah.
And that's what I tell a lot of them guys because I've had guys, man, I keep hitting my head. Like hell, after the first or second time I quit hitting my damn head, tuck
mhm
that chin.
Yeah, whenever I decided to start coming to these training sessions and stuff, I had to mentally remind myself to tuck my chin in because um, the first time I ever took a bump, I mean, um, actually wasn't my first one. It was like anyways, there was at one point when I was taking bumps, and I remember I didn't tuck my chin in, and also I held my breath in, which they say not to
Yeah.
do that too. So yeah, my head was knocked loopy. I knocked the wind out of myself, and yeah, those. I said this, folks, during that interview I had with Brooksy last week. Don't ever call this fake. There's nothing fake
No.
about putting your body on the line, especially taking bumps and doing all of this. There's nothing fake about it. If you think it's fake, then you can get into the ring and you can try it yourself.
That's what I'm
So
saying. Anybody thinks it's fake, come have one training session.
yeah, yeah, they'll
And
never
you
say,
tell me how you feel the next day.
you'll never say it again. I definitely know John. Well, John Stossel found out the hard way too, didn't he?
Yeah.
We'll talk about that some other
Right,
time.
right.
Um,
You don't know how many people I've had come do one training session and never see them again.
really,
And that's what I hear. Man, I want to do this since I was a kid.
yeah,
And then they get in there, and I always try to warn everybody. I'm like, you're gonna feel like a damn Mack truck hit you next day. You're gonna be sore for 3 days,
very true.
and then they don't ever come back.
We'll see. I was working for Aldi at the time, and I was working at the one in Hopkinsville, and my first thought was, well, dang it, I want to still do it, but it's like if I get hurt, I can't work,
Hmm.
and I can't get workers comp or light
Yeah.
duty or anything because it wasn't a job related
Right. Right.
accident.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
And So that's really the reason why I didn't go back to old school wrestling because I really enjoyed it, and obviously I didn't get there till late in the day because I had to work Saturday, but I got some time in, and I also took down the ring as well, and you pretty much find out pretty quick you're better off having a crew of people to
Oh
take the
yeah.
ring down and put it up because even with that it's like 45 minutes, so
Mm.
if it's just a couple people it'd take till
Well,
Christmas.
especially after training, you're already tired. Your
Yeah.
arms are heavy already,
Yep.
and ain't nothing on that damn ring light.
Hell no. Hell no. Hell, I said at the last session, I'm like, I'm not going to carry a ring post by myself. Well, then I think it was one of the Mitchell boys carrying one. I was like, well, oh, well, I've seen this. I've got to, show I can
Yeah, I
still
can't let
go.
them
So
youngins show me up
hell,
now.
hell no, hell no. And both those Mitchell guys, they've definitely got potential, most
Yeah, I
definitely.
mean,
And
I feel like everybody that including you, everybody that we have there right now working out. I mean, I think Ben's doing a great job.
oh hell yeah,
I mean, I feel like he's actually got a structure, and unfortunately, I hate that I can't be there.
sure.
But I mean, just work schedule. Unfortunately, I've got to work. I got bills to pay.
Mm-hmm.
I was actually talking to Chris and Casanova last night. I actually seen them where I work at, and
Mm-hmm.
we were talking. They were asking me if I was going to be there Saturday. I was like, "Oh, unfortunately, guys, I'll probably be at work."
Sure. Well, and I'm planning on being there, but it won't be until early afternoon because of my work schedule and
No,
all
yeah,
that,
I mean, and
So,
that's what I tell everybody. I mean, everybody can understand we're all on different work schedules. I mean,
yeah.
I've worked your schedule. I know how it is. It sucks.
I've gained a lot of gray in my beard over the last 4 years,
Right.
being on that shift. And but so while we still have a few minutes left, when did when was NAW created?
NAWE was actually created in, I want to say, I would say like 2005, because it was actually the brainchild of Viper and Jay Grunge, which they went by Damage Inc., probably one of the best tag teams in Kentucky.
Hmm.
Um, they wrestled at the Coliseum. They were like 14-time tag team champions up there.
Oh, really?
I mean, they were just, and then Honest John was their manager.
Hmm.
So imagine Jimmy Hart on the Indies, because Honest John had the bullhorn.
Nice.
They fucking hated him.
Oh man.
But yeah, I mean, they went to Florida, and even Viper and them was supposed to have a tryout for TNA.
Really?
But this was about the time that Jay had had some medical, problems
Sure.
happen. I'm not going to go into that because it's not my business
Oh,
to,
absolutely.
which I mean, God rest his soul, great wrestler, great family man, great dad. I mean, just great person all around. We lost a
Right.
really great guy. But just when that happened, when you, because him and Viper, they were like brothers.
Hmm.
They weren't just tag team partners. They were family.
Right.
And when that happened, man, it just, you can't just go out and get another partner
No.
when you have that kind of history and that kind of bond.
Hmm.
But I mean, I remember wrestling him one night, and you just had no Viper. Viper was known as like working, I guess, strong style, as they like to call it.
Sure.
He was gonna lay it in.
Yeah.
Now you was either in, like I said, when we got into it, you was either tough enough or you got the fuck out. Too
Hmm.
soft for the business. It's pro wrestling, not ballet.
Right.
You can't take a fucking shot. And him and Ray is probably the two people that chopped me the fucking hardest in my career.
Oh man.
Yep. I I would take a chop from anybody else, but damn, please don't let them two chop me.
Oh man. Dang. So 2005, were y'all operating in the area that you're currently operating
They
in
were
now?
actually operating in Madisonville.
Hmm.
I wasn't a part of it at that time, but I'd actually went and wrestled them. That was what was the cool thing was, like, you know because is what actually happened is, like, whenever because me and Dad had always talked about we wanted to start our own, and then
Hmm.
when my dad got in real bad health, it just was like, okay, this is something I definitely want to do. We've talked about it for years,
Hmm.
and then we talked to Josh, and Josh was on board. Like, hey man, let's all go into it, make it a little easier on everybody. You know, and then Viper hit me up because, like, I grew up with Viper. Viper was like my big brother.
Hmm.
Him and my dad was real good friends, and he used to come kick our asses when we were younger and play wrestling shit, kick our asses in the pool and stuff.
Hmm.
And but he actually like called me and stuff because at the time he was working in a coal mine, so he just didn't have a whole lot of time. I might run into him at Walmart or
Hmm.
But he'd actually call me. He's like, "Well, man, what do you think about?" He's like, "I'd like to come in too." He's like, "What do you think about doing NAWE again and using that?" I'm like, "Yeah, man, absolutely. I'd love to use that again because that's the misconception. A lot of people think that NAWE is a new thing. No, we just more or less rebranded it, brought it back.
Sure.
And I mean, like I said, we have good stuff planned for the year.
Mm-hmm.
I think fans are going to be really happy.
Sure.
I mean, and if you've been to a NAWE show, man, they always deliver.
Oh yeah.
I mean, you never know what you're gonna get.
Very true.
I mean, we're trying to bring in. To me, I want to bring in the best guys around the tri-state. Whether that be Evansville, Illinois, Kentucky. I want to showcase. Hey, man, we got some great talent down here. I
Right.
mean, we've had Mickey Midas, we've had Mike Micus. Two guys that are doing really well for themselves. I mean, Mike Micus has been on WWE, he's been on TNA. I mean, Midas has, done a couple of dark matches in AEW. I
Yeah.
think ROH. I mean, so I think the Kentucky guys, the tri-state guys, are just killing it, man.
Oh,
I think
absolutely.
we're showing. Look, hey, Kentucky just ain't some little ass town. We actually have great wrestlers.
Right.
I mean,
Yeah, and sitting in there as a fan for those two shows. It didn't take me long to realize. I mean, gosh dang it, these guys are talented. And just like talking with Josh, I mean, just the ideas that runs through his head. It's
yeah. I
like
mean,
and I've told him. I said, why are you not booking for WWE or AEW in these places? And I told him, I said, it's not blowing smoke up his ass because he likes to say that to me too.
yeah, yeah.
But he's always appreciative of me telling him that. And but yeah, man, I've had a chance to see Mickey a couple of times with Naw, and just man, the guy's athletic,
Oh yeah, he
and
absolutely kills it every
and
time, man.
and he's a really good guy too. I mean, I didn't get a chance to really talk with him much, but he was a pretty cool guy, or.
Him and Micus, for as much stuff as they've done, is probably like two of the most humble guys. Because I mean, Mickey and Micus will both tell you, like, man, I'm not shit in this business.
Right.
But I mean, I can't believe WWE or AEW hasn't signed either one of them.
Well, kind of going back to with what happened with your tryout, things happen for a reason. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. Like I said, I've never really had a chance to speak with Mickey. If where he would like to, if there was a big promotion, that he'd want to work for. But I mean, you know, maybe something will open up in the future. God willing.
Well, you knew about him going to Puerto Rico, right? He's
I
been
did not know that.
he actually it was either Mexico or Puerto Rico he went and wrestled,
Really.
and he met Pentagon or Penta,
Oh
and Penta
wow.
actually shot like a little promo for him and was like, "Hey man, this kid's the next superstar."
Yeah.
But like he went up there and killed it, which like I said, anytime Mickey wrestles, man, he's gonna kill it.
Oh,
That's just
absolutely.
and one of the nicest guys you meet in the business, man.
Hmm.
I love Mickey. I plan on bringing him back. It's just man stays busy,
Sure.
you know.
Absolutely.
But he actually had whenever he got done with his match, somebody had stole his gimmick or stole his gear bag. He ended up having to go to like the UN or whatever to get a passport because they took his passport, his license, all that shit, so he could even
Oh
get back home from like
shit.
Mexico.
Damn.
Yeah, so it was one of the things like it was a good experience, good time for him, but then it ended up not being such a good time because I think he told me it was like $300 or $400 worth of shit that they stole. The time
Damn.
they took his tights and his boots and
I know we're running out of time because I know you've got to go pick your wife up and everything, but that's something you don't do in the business. You don't steal people's stuff. I mean, that's a big cardinal sin,
well, I mean, like he
you
said,
know.
I guess he's thinking maybe it was just, Mexico. I mean, you've got, I mean, I'm not trying to talk shit about Mexico, but
Sure, sure.
I mean, it's probably not the best place to,
Mhm.
I mean, it's anywhere you go, man. You got bad apples everywhere, so
Yeah, yeah. I mean,
they just
it's not
had
just
an
one area.
opportunity, and unfortunately, it happened to him.
Right.
But I mean, he smile on his face, though. I mean, that's the thing. You're not gonna take that smile off Mickey's face. I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
Mickey's just a great guy. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah, he really seemed like it, the little interaction I had with him and stuff,
oh yeah, if
and
you
it
ever get to sit down and talk to him, man, he's such a genuine person.
and that
And Mike is too, man. Mike is such a good guy. I mean,
yeah, because you hear so much nowadays of people, just don't have a lot of respect for others, or they have a ego, you know what I'm
mm,
saying, and all that. But Well, before we go, I want to plug again. Well, first off, I want to thank you for taking time out of your
Hey
day to
man, I
come do this
appreciate
with
being
me,
here. I'd love to do it again. I mean, I
Matt.
really enjoyed myself. I hope the listeners enjoyed what we're talking about.
Oh,
Maybe y'all
absolutely.
can throw us some topics y'all would like us to maybe talk about next time we can do this.
Yeah, absolutely. That'd be awesome. Any topics would be greatly
Or maybe
appreciated.
anybody that maybe y'all would like to see from NAWE or whatever. I mean, I'm sure I could talk to Mickey. I'm sure Mickey would love to do it.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, and if he could, and obviously, I wouldn't expect anybody to be able to come to the cave, but I've got a Google Voice app and stuff. That's how I did my interview with Brooksy last week. So, but yeah, again, folks, I want to plug the next. Actually, I didn't really ask this, but NAW stands for New Age Wrestling Entertainment.
Yep.
And we'll talk some more about the history of NAW the next time I'm able to have you
Oh
on
yeah, we'll
here.
definitely have
And
to do it again for sure.
but the next NAW event, well, again, folks, will be March the 8th, 7 p.m. Doors will open between 6 or 6:30. Ticket prices are $8 a person. I did forget to ask this: is that for everybody, or is there like an age limit or whatnot?
5 and under, or yeah, I think it's 5 and under is free. 6 to 12 is $5, and then anybody over $12 is $8.
All right, appreciate you clarifying that for
Ain't
me,
no
boss
problem.
man. And concessions are available. You will definitely enjoy the show. And I want to plug the GoFundMe account again, folks. And any donations are greatly accepted. And this is to help build a future training facility because all these people that are on the independent circuit, that's how they get their start in this business to eventually go to the major promotions. So the GoFundMe account is Help Ben Build a Future for Indie Wrestling Stars, and the link is gofund.me/ 9B as in boy, 2 F as in Frank, C as in Charles, 903. Derek, again, buddy, I want to thank you for being here on Grizzly's Cave with me, and definitely look forward to having you again,
I
boss man.
appreciate it, man. Make sure y'all go subscribe, go to Spotify, go to YouTube, wherever you can find it. Make sure you like it. Let us know what you think, and like I said, maybe let him know who else you'd like to see or what you'd like us to talk about or something.
Absolutely.
Because we love wrestling, so we don't have no problem talking about it.
We love wrestling. We'll talk about damn near anything, even if it's not wrestling. So, anyways, folks, anybody that listens to this, we greatly appreciate you taking time out to listen to this podcast, and we will have more episodes coming out in the near future. So, you folks take care, and God bless.
We'll see y'all March 8th.